Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of the Review Diaries. I'm your host, Jackie Moore, and if it sounds like I'm in nature today for some reason, I am basically in it. If you listened to last week's episode, I mentioned that there are cicadas in my area and they're still out here and making lots of noise, and I have my fan on, so I really hope you can't hear it. I'm going to try my best to edit in the audio, but otherwise I would be a hot, sweaty mess and it would just not look good. So I do apologize. It's just very hot right now, but we will work through it. I'm going to try my best to get this episode or make it short and sweet as much as I can, just so I don't suffer with this ring light, because it is just... it's terrible not having like a really functioning AC and plus 85-degree weather right now. So that's my situation. But in other news, thank you so much to anyone who listened to last week's episode. I was really surprised with the response. It was the second part of the Bridgerton series, the first season, so episodes 4 through 8. I just was really shocked at the response so quickly with the video especially, and yeah, I'm just grateful that people have taken the time to listen to it or watch the YouTube. So if you haven't, I will link it in the end card or the episode notes if I remember to do so. But yeah, as far as this week, we are going to be talking about the Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Gallitzine movie that came on Amazon Prime recently. I know I said last week that I was going to do it, and I watched it a couple days ago when it first came on Prime. I know it was in the movies first, but I just don't really go to the movies like that. It gives me like major anxiety to be in the movie theater, and I also just like to be in my own space if I'm going to watch a movie. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but it really makes me miss out on the hype for movies when they first come out. I've been trying to be better about it, but it's just my anxiety doesn't really allow me to do it, and I just, like I said, like to be in my own space. I don't really like having people talking around me or anything like that. If I had the money to book the theater for myself every single time I wanted to go, I would just do it. But I don't, so I usually just wait until I'm able to rent or stream something. I really would rather just spend $20 to just watch it in my house if I can. I know that's weird and most people won't agree with it, but to be honest, you would spend probably that or more going to the movies anyway, and I'd just rather be in the comfort of my own house to be able to do so. More so recently, I know the movie Challengers with Zendaya is in the theaters right now, and people are just going crazy over it, and I really want to go, and I'm going to, if I can, try to see if I can go one day when it's not so crazy in my area, just because there's only one movie theater, and I don't know. I went to see Oppenheimer and Barbie by myself last year, so I did do that, and there was quite a bit of people in there, but I really wanted to go see it, and I want to go see Challengers too. So I know that if I wait to talk about it on the podcast, it's going to be a minute before I'm able to see it in my house. So I don't know, we will see, because I do want to do a episode on that. But as far as this week, like I said, it is the movie The Idea of You, starring Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Gallitzine, and it is a movie based on the book The Idea of You by Robinne Lee. I have not personally read the book before, so yeah, I tried to do a little bit of research on the book, and I found some stuff, but not anything super major that would spoil it for me. I don't know if I'll read it, because I know that it's a bit different from the movie, and obviously, that's a common thing, but as far as what I found in my research, people are saying that it's a Harry Styles fan fiction, which intrigued me at first, just because I know that there's been quite a bit of those lately. for some reason. And I also just found an article where the author said that it was not fan fiction in spite of what people have been saying about it. She just said basically that Harry was one of the main people that inspired the character Hayes, which is fine, but I think the likeness to his character, or maybe it's just the movie that they just made him look like him more, and just the way they dressed him, the tattoos, and the fact that he is British is pretty obvious to me. And also, like, when the book was released, it was within One Direction's like big takeover over the world, but she said that she has never really pictured Harry Styles as the character Hayes, which is fine. And she said that she name dropped him once, and that ever since people have just kind of ran with the fact that he is the inspiration for it, and it's been branded as a Harry Styles fanfic, which in watching the movie I can see why. Her reasonings behind it are fine. Like, that's her book, that's her opinion, and that's her truth. So whatever people just want to make of it is fine. It's just fun. So that's really all I've been seeing on social media, is that people have been saying that it's a Harry Styles fanfic. I don't know if it was published as fan fiction before, because I know at least like for the after movies and the books, I actually read the fan fiction. Like, I think the first one on Wattpad, when that was like a thing. That was really what started like my reading journey when I was like 11, and I would just eat it up. All the Harry Styles fan fiction, all the One Direction fan fictions, like all of those. That's like all that I read. So yeah, I just, I know that those are one that I read, but as far as this one, I don't know, and I haven't read the book, like I said. But as far as what the movie and the book are about, it is basically about this character Solène, who is a 40-year-old woman, or 39 turning 40, and her daughter. I think in the book she is still a fan of this band, and I think she's a bit younger in the book than she is in the movie. But she is an art gallery owner, and she is divorced because her husband cheated on her, and she is kind of at this crossroads in her life. She's like I said, an art gallery owner, and she has this like amazing job that she loves, but as far as her personal life goes, she kind of doesn't really know where she's at in life as far as like dating or just her own journey personally. She's trying to go out, be open to dating and doing all these different things to kind of find herself again, just because she had a kid so young and married so young, and then it all kind of blew up for her. So I think she feels a bit lost, I guess. And at the start of the movie, she is getting ready to go on this camping trip by herself, and her ex-husband bought tickets for their daughter and her friends to Coachella to go see this band, August Moon, and they got them VIP passes and everything so they can go to the August Moon tent, I guess. I've never been to Coachella, so I guess that's how it works if you get VIP passes for certain artists and the meet and greet and stuff. So their daughter was obsessed with the band when she was like in 7th grade, but now she is a bit older and she's kind of like over the band, but she and her friends are still going to experience the artist in Coachella, and I think her friends are still like kind of fans of the band, but she's kind of like too cool for it, I guess. I would never say that about One Direction. Even me at 25, I still love them and listen to them. I am not ashamed to say that I still listen to One Direction to this day. So her father was supposed to be the one to take her and her friends, but he has this work emergency come up, and Solène ends up having to take her and her friends to Coachella, and her plans to go on this like camping trip are ruined. When they arrive at Coachella, the kids basically just like run off to go see all these different artists that they're wanting to see by themselves, and then Solène heads to the VIP tent for the August Moon meetup. And I noticed this when she sat down in the tent. She was reading the book Normal People by Sally Rooney, which I love that book and I love that TV show. So I thought that it was nice that they threw that in there. And when she gets the tent, she meets this fan who is kind of her age, basically. I think she's older, and they kind of talk a little bit, and she asks her if she is a moonhead, which is basically the name of the fans, I guess. And she's kind of like, no, I'm here with my daughter. And then she asks her where the bathroom is, and she tells her where to go, and she ends up going into someone's trailer without knowing it. So there is a man in the trailer in the bathroom, and she knocks on the door thinking that it's like a VIP public bathroom, I guess, and that she can use it. And he's very confused when he opens the door to see her because he doesn't know who she is. So he obviously sits down and waits for her to come out, and then she's thrown off because he's still there as she is getting done with using the bathroom. So he tells her that it's his trailer and that he's a performer, and then we learn that it is a member of August Moon. His name is Hayes Campbell, and it is Nicholas Gallitzine. So he tells her that she can hang out if she wants to and offers her a drink, and she tells him that she is with her daughter and her friends and that they're actually there to meet them. And then there's this whole moment of him being like, so her father bought the tickets, but he's not your husband. But he does it in like this very intense and smooth way, and like throughout the film he just would throw out these little like comments like that, and I was just like, ooh, he's so smooth. So he had me kind of giggling and kicked my feet a little bit which I had never experienced that in a Nicholas Gallitzine movie because I've seen quite a few. So yeah, I was like, okay, he's a bit smooth in this role. I like it. So Solène eventually leaves the trailer as he is like getting dressed and ready to go to the meet and greet, and the kids are running late, but they eventually join her. So people start acting crazy when the band arrives, and then Hayes sees Solène in the crowd, and they both kind of try to act cool. She's kind of like, okay, just act cool, Solène, like it's fine. And I'm like, girl, you're 40. Like, chill out. She's like basically fangirling because this 24-year-old guy is just like ogling her. But once the meet and greet has started, Solène's daughter Izzy gets kind of tripped up when she talks to Hayes, and obviously like her little feelings like come up, and she is nervous to like talk to him and everything, and the rest of the band too, and her friends are also like nervous to talk to them. And Solène is kind of taking pictures of everybody, and then Hayes is trying to ask her name multiple times, but conversations kind of keep interrupting them, and he keeps asking her, and then she eventually tells him, and then they reveal to the kids kind of how they met and everything. And one of the band members, I think his name's Oliver, he kind of starts being a smartass to Solène from the very first moment he meets her, to be honest. Like, it's a recurring theme throughout the film, and he just kind of annoyed me. He just would make snide comments to her, and he annoyed me, and I wanted to punch him in the face a couple times because he was just being an ass. But the band is now performing. They're, I guess, a headliner for Coachella, and Solène and the kids are in the crowd. And I will say a couple of the songs that they played throughout the film were very catchy. I can think of two off the top of my head, but especially what was it? Guard Down. It's like the first one that they sang. That one, this has been like stuck in my head for the past couple of days. So I need everything to be on streaming services expeditiously. I need to have another Daisy Jones and the Six moment where a fictional band just takes over my life, okay? And I do see like the One Direction influence as far as the music goes. Did y'all see that fuzzy that just flew across my face? It's either that or cat hair. Solène is in the crowd with the kids, and she's kind of singing along to the music. I mean, it's very simple lyrics. It's not anything that you can't memorize like pretty quickly. but she's having fun, and then occasionally she catches glimpses of Hayes looking at her. So as they are transitioning into another song, he changes the set list and he tells the crowd that he met someone tonight and that he is feeling inspired. So the song talks about meeting someone who is a little bit older and that he wants to, quote unquote, get closer to whoever this person is. And obviously the song is called Closer. So he serenades her like throughout the song, and like the whole time she's just like this. She's just frozen the whole time like this, but smiling, and you can see like shots of her just like this, and then everyone around her is just like dancing and she's just smiling looking at him. But I just thought that was funny that she just was like this the whole time. But it is now Solène's 40th birthday party celebration with her friends, and one of the people at the party kind of asked her how she feels about turning 40, and she kind of opens up to him and the whole group about her feelings and kind of feeling disconnected from her identity just because she had her daughter so young and she's kind of feeling lost in life. So I don't know if this was honestly intentional. It's just my brain kind of catches these certain kinds of things. I don't know if that was like the purpose behind it, but I did notice that lighting in certain scenes when it was just her and her older friends really was much warmer than in other scenes, like specifically with just her and Hayes. It kind of gives it a more mature look in my opinion, so I don't know if that's what they were going for, because if you look at obviously the Coachella scenes are all very colorful and bright, and obviously it's a festival so it has to be like colorful and bright, but there's other scenes too later in the film that bring all that color and super high contrast, and I just thought it was an interesting lighting choice, especially with one scene towards the end that I will talk about later. And yeah, it's just scenes with her and Hayes are just so much more vibrant in color. There's like neon colors, and it just makes it look more lively, as if to maybe, I guess, kind of make her feel younger, or I don't know, because conversations between her and her friends are obviously more adult. It's just talk about like divorce and kids and where they are in their careers and just life in general, their identity or lack of it. And it's just a compilation of these scenes throughout this like party, and she is talking to different men at the party. Some of them are like hitting on her, asking her out, and others are just kind of opening up to her about where they are in their lives. So I just thought that was a interesting choice. So at her art gallery, Solène is just having this like normal work day like she always would, and Hayes happens to show up. So he says that he is looking to buy art for his place in London, and that he really didn't have any trouble finding a Solène on the internet, because I mean her name is not very common. So one of the employees, as he is like in the building, is kind of fangirling over the fact that Solène knows him, and there's this other one that's like, well, I'm in my 30s, of course I wouldn't know who this is. I just thought that was funny. And there's also paparazzi outside the building taking pictures, and then fans start coming up, I think. Basically Hayes buys everything in the gallery, and she's kind of shocked that he wants to do that, and she makes a comment about him buying the art as if he were just like buying apples, I guess, because it's just so easy for him to just pick everything. And he basically just says that he connects with the art and wants to buy all of it. So he asks her if she has any more art to show him, but she's like, no, you bought everything in the gallery. But that she has a friend in Glendale who has, I guess, a warehouse with art that she can show him because she has a key. So they head over to this warehouse in Glendale, and they escape in her car since there are paparazzi outside, and he kind of reclines the seat all the way back as they are trying to escape. So at the warehouse, they kind of bond and get to know each other a little bit more because they just talk about their lives and how he got started in the band when he auditioned, and she tells him like where she went to school, what she did, and she kind of asks him like what his intentions are basically, and he says that she thinks she's hot and asks her if she wants to try and get some food because he's starving basically. So they drive off, and as they're trying to decide where to go to eat, they are recognized. So they settle kind of on going to her house to get food just so they can avoid crowds. And so finally at her home, her fridge is broken, so they kind of get to work in putting all the contents in coolers of ice, and he does this thing with the milk where he takes a sip of it even though it's expired, which I thought was disgusting, but he did it. And then they learn just more about their families and really more about his. So his parents were basically divorced and his mother remarried, and his dad isn't really a part of his life, and suddenly now that he is famous, he wants to be a part of it, and he kind of reveals to her how hard it is for him to trust people just because of everything. So now they are eating, and he asks her about her ex-husband Daniel, and she reveals kind of how they met and how their relationship basically just fell apart, that they got married and pregnant very young, and that it was just a lot for them and that they drifted apart, and also that he cheated on her, and she said that for the good of their family she had offered to forget about his infidelity, which I thought was horrible, but he wanted to be with the girl he cheated on her with anyway. And I really loved this scene. I think it's one of my favorites in the film just because it's so simple and impactful emotionally, specifically because of Anne Hathaway and her performance here. I mean, it's just her and her monologue, and then you see Hayes just kind of absorbing everything that he is telling her, and you can see how easy it is for both of them to just open up to one another because they don't really have that person in their lives at all. And you see that it's hard for her to talk about her divorce, yet it's also freeing to talk about it with someone and be open and honest, because she just doesn't really have to hide anything or be anybody else, and he just kind of allows her to just be who she is, really, which I thought was beautiful. Solène's daughter Izzy calls her on the phone, and as she's talking to Izzy on the phone, Hayes sees this piano in the living room and he starts playing it. So she comes back and says that she likes this song, and then immediately it just like the heat is just turned to like 1,000, and he like grabs her hand and they just start making out, and I was just like, bitch, what the hell? They start kissing and she like pulls away saying that she could be his mom, and he's like, no, you're not. And I was like, oh my god, bitch, where is the water? Like, are you kidding me? Like, where did that come from? I was just like, what am I watching? I also watched it with my mom, so that was fun. Yeah, I was just like, what the hell? Where's the water? I need it. So they kind of break apart, and he asks when he can see her again, and she's like, nope, we don't really fit. This is not gonna work. And he makes a turn to like leave her house, but he leaves his watch, and then her daughter comes up as he is leaving because she's going to pack and go to summer camp. So now, home alone after dropping the daughter off at camp, Solène gets a text from an unknown number, and it's obviously Hayes, and he says that he can't stop thinking about her and the kiss that they had, and he tells her that he will be in New York and tells her what hotel and asks her to join him. So she spends the rest of the night watching videos of him and the band, which is so me at age 12 watching One Direction funny compilations till I just could not sleep, or really didn't sleep at all, just from watching them over and over again. And I just felt so seen because I was like, girl, that is me. Literally, that's what I used to do. So she heads to New York. She just hops on a flight and goes to the hotel that he is staying at and just heads up to his room. And she arrives and takes off her coat, and she's like all sexy, and she's wearing this dress, and she's also wearing the freaking watch that he left. And he's like, it just looks so much better on you. So they start making out, and then he pleasures her, which I was like, oh god. And it was hot. I'm not going to lie. It was. So after that, they just end up having sex. And I was just like, girl, good for you. Like, I was rooting for her. I was like, yes, girl. Yes. I was like, go ahead, do it. I support women's rights. Yes, all of it. Loved it for her. So the next morning, he says that he is leaving to Europe for the European leg of his tour, and that he wants her to go with him. So she tries to kind of come up with all these excuses to not go, and he shuts all of them down. So she reveals that she is scared of what people will think, and he is like, I don't care what people think. So after that, it's this montage of them on tour, basically just having the time of their life together. And there's these little scenes in throughout the montage that mention Izzy at summer camp, where Solène is kind of just hiding the fact that she is with him, and it's also him asking her when she is going to tell Izzy that they are together. So after this, Solène and Hayes are in a restaurant in Paris, and they are kissing and being intimate, and someone takes pictures of them kissing without them knowing. So he says that he is going to Ibiza with the rest of the band, and that they rented this house there, and he asked her to come with him. They get there, and I thought that this dynamic was a bit weird of them like being in the house, because I mean, she's in the house with a bunch of people in their early to mid 20s, and so she obviously feels a little bit uncomfortable around them, like not only around the guys but the younger girls that they brought along as well, because they don't really have anything to talk about or relate to. And I mean, at least in just traveling with Hayes and going to the show, she can kind of get away with being the other group from time to time, with, you know, short flights here and there, and them just always like rehearsing and everything. But them being in this house together around each other all the time, it was just kind of weird. So you can see how some of the girls maybe don't really like her, or just kind of don't really know how to approach the situation, along with the same bandmate, Oliver, that was kind of an ass to her earlier on and was making snide comments about her again. The girls ask about Izzy, and they kind of laugh off about the fact that they know people who might know Izzy because they are of similar age. So Oliver says that Hayes is acting like a middle-aged man since he met Solène, and then they ask how they met, and she talks about, you know, the bathroom situation with the trailer, and then she also talks about the song that he quote-unquote sang to her, and then everyone is kind of like, what? That's just like a thing that we do when we think a girl in the crowd is cute. Like, they were like, you're not special, that kind of thing, which I thought was, oh, I hated it, because you can just see how they're like laughing at her and making fun of her for, you know, being this older woman who is fangirling over this 24-year-old guy. So when they like say that, you can see that Hayes is just like, oh my god, he's just like panicking. So she walks off and says that she wants to go home, and that what they have just has to end. And she says that what her friends did to her out there in the pool with the lie about the song and everything made her feel kind of like how her ex-husband did with the cheating and everything. He says that he wants more with her, that this can't end, and that he is actually happy and that she has made him start writing music that he actually cares about. So she doesn't say that she feels the same way about him, and he also asks her if anyone in her life knows about them, and that if she even thinks that if the roles were reversed, if anyone would even care that they are together. And she says that yes, they would, and that her daughter would especially. So back home, her ex-husband got Izzy a car for her birthday, and while they kind of disagree on the price cap for the birthday present, she got her like paint and some stuff, which I thought was cute, but he kind of decided to go all extravagant with the gift. So he also tells her that a partner at his law firm was in Rome and that he saw her with Hayes in a cafe and they were kissing and holding hands. And she says that he's a client. And then he says that her having a relationship with a 24-year-old pop star would be crazy. And then the girlfriend or the wife tells Solène that she is leaving Daniel, the ex-husband, and that it's over between them. So after this, Solène wakes up with a text from Hayes telling her to stay off the internet and that everyone has found out about them. So when Solène goes to pick up Izzy from camp, all of her friends are blowing her up on her phone with text now that it's in the news that she is with Hayes. And everyone in the camp recognizes her too and tries to talk to her. And the mothers are calling her like their hero, and they're wanting pictures with her. And then Izzy is understandably upset when she sees her mom because she hid this from her, and that she said it felt like it did when her dad hid the affair. So after this, Hayes is in LA recording music, and Solène magically just ends up in one of the 1 million recording studios that are in LA that he just happens to be at, but that's not my business. So she apologizes to him for how she treated him in their like last conversation and says that she feels the same way that he does and that she was only like afraid, which is why she didn't express her feelings to him. So they make up, and then at her house they kind of decide to go forward with their relationship, and they all check in with Izzy and her friends, and they say that they will delete their social media just to not participate or be aware of like all the hate that is going on. So after that, her ex-husband Daniel shows up at the door with paparazzi outside, and then Hayes answers the door to let him in. And Daniel asks Hayes like what his end game is, and even slips up a couple times and refers to Solène as his wife. So him and Solène argue, and he eventually leaves to take Izzy to school. And then one of Hayes' bandmates is in trouble. I think it's all over the same like little shithead from before. So he has to head out to New York to help him. And then when Solène picks up Izzy from school, you can see that she is visibly upset. And she tells her mom about what kids are saying at school, and that this boy that she likes made a comment about her mom, of like him basically being like, tell your mom when I'm 18 or whatever. I don't know, something fucking stupid. So she asks to be dropped off at her dad's, which obviously upsets Solène. And then she gets home and she is just harassed by paparazzi and also just voicemails from people wanting her to comment on stories. And she also goes on social media to see all the hate comments that people are leaving about her. So after this, when she picks up Hayes from the airport, she is already upset like when he arrives. And she tells him that she can't do this anymore and that it's affecting Izzy and that she has to put her daughter first. And he says that he would quit everything, but she's like, no, it would only make it worse. So after this, Solène comes back home and she gets a text from Hayes saying that he is at her door. So he tells her that he loves her, and she's like, I love you too. And it's a scene of them kissing as the light above them is changing colors. and it's a parallel kind of to what I was talking about before, because it just changes colors like throughout them like making out. And I don't know, I think it was like trying to imply that they kind of bring color or life to each other's lives, which I thought, I mean, that's my take. I don't know if that's like their intention, but I just thought it was a nice touch and it just looked nice. So he makes her kind of promise that she will revisit their relationship in 5 years once Izzy is out of school, and she says that if he gets a shot of happiness that he should take it and that she will do the same. So after this, it's a flash forward to 5 years, and we are back in Silver Lake, California, and Izzy is now living in Chicago. She's, I guess, like 22, 23, and Solène is watching TV and sees Hayes singing on a TV show. He is now a solo artist, and he is singing a song that the lyrics kind of imply that it is about her, and he is looking fine as hell. I was like, whoever told Nicholas Gallitzine to shave his beard, because I love it. I was like, I need more roles of him with a beard. Any man that I see with a beard that I have not seen before, I'm like, immediate 10. I love a man in a beard. And I just was like, I need more. And I saw people on social media comparing this scene in particular to Harry Styles doing Sign of the Times when he initially left One Direction, because he was also wearing like all black in this Graham Norton appearance. And I just saw these stills kind of comparing them, which I thought was nice. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but you know, it's pretty obvious. But, and then he's also like on the Graham Norton show, and he basically says that he is taking a break from, or like after his tour, or like in between it or something, and he is planning to go to LA to see somebody. And so the next scene we see is of Solène at the art gallery, and it's basically the same scene when he walks into the gallery and she kind of like just sees him, and so they see each other, and it's this like little knowing smile, and she is emotional and he looks it too, and it basically she just I don't know, that's the end of it basically. And I was trying to find how the book ends in comparison, just to like see, and I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but this is what I found. I think Izzy is a bit younger in the book than she is in the movie. And I think one person was saying that basically they like break up because Izzy is like, I guess, kind of like in love with Hayes. I mean, it's like a parasocial, I guess, celebrity infatuation or something, and she's like upset at her mom for being with him kind of thing, I think. I'm not 100% sure. And then it's that whole thing with the 5-year jump that he tells her to wait, and then throughout the 5 years, I think he like is texting her and she just doesn't respond at all, and then eventually they just kind of stop corresponding and he stops reaching out, and then that's how it ends, I think. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to read the book, but I think that's how it ends. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please do. But yeah, overall thoughts for the film. I thought it was entirely too long. It was like 2 hours long, and I really think in the middle it kind of, the pace was a bit slow, and there was not so much going on plot-wise for it to be 2 hours long. I really felt like it could have been an hour 20, an hour 30, and it would have worked so much better for me, just because of like everything. And really, I do think that Nicholas Gallitzine and Anne Hathaway's performances really saved this movie for me. I feel like if it would have been anybody else, it probably would have been like even more of a dud for me. It wasn't horrible. It was good. It just was not anything that like really blew my mind. Not that I was expecting it to, but I maybe was expecting a little bit more. Just slight disappointment, but I did like it. Like I said, I liked some of the songs, and I just adore Anne Hathaway. I think she can do no wrong in my opinion. Any film that she has done, I'm just like, I love. Yes, you can do no wrong, queen. Like, go ahead. Yes. Sleep with a 24-year-old. Yes. Absolutely. If you want to, queen, go ahead. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was cute. And I don't know, I think the trailer really jinxed me and set me up. I was really excited. And then I was like, it was alright. I would give it, out of 10, give it like a 6, I think. Because like I said, it wasn't like terrible, but it wasn't like amazing. It was like in the middle. So if the music ever comes out on vinyl, even if I can just get like a single of like Guard Down or something, because that's probably my favorite song, I want it. I need it. But yeah, I wanted to probably keep this episode a little bit shorter just because, I mean, there wasn't much to cover in my opinion, but I do hope that you enjoyed. I had been waiting for this movie to come out streaming so I could cover it, and I'm glad I did. I had fun watching it. So yeah, as far as next week, as you guys know, I've been covering Bridgerton season 1. I really need to do season 2 next week. I'd wanted to do second book of ACOTAR, but I think that's just gonna have to wait until Bridgerton is done with, because there's too much. So I think I am going to do the same thing again if I do Bridgerton, when I do Bridgerton next week, and split it into 2, just because there's too much for me and it'd be too long to do it like 8 episodes in like 1 episode for the podcast. And also too, just with how season 3 is going to be broken up into 2 parts, it just probably works better that way. So yeah, stay tuned for that next week, and I promise that once Bridgerton season 3 part 1 is launched, we will have a month in between to do a variety of little things. I want to do a couple more books just because I've been pretty movie and TV heavy for the past couple of weeks. So try to do ACOTAR and maybe something else if I have enough time to read something else that is cool and interesting. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed, and do not forget to follow me on social media. I will have all my links listed below. Check out my other episodes. If you're on YouTube, I will have them listed, or like the most recent one and the most popular one listed in the end card. But if you're on the podcast, you can just scroll or go back, I guess. And yes, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on any podcast platform, please rate and leave a review. It really helps me. And yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.